Now, I came across an interesting video from a fellow YouTuber whose content I really enjoy. I find it immensely useful. By the name of Thinking Critter, shout out to him. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below. The video in question centers around DC comic book writer Tim Sheridan venting his frustration at the, according to him, lack of support coming in from the DC fandom, at least when it comes to a string of alphabet characters he's tried to introduce that have unfortunately for him failed to resonate with said audience. It's an excellent video and definitely well worth the watch, but I wanted to address a few of Tim Sheridan's comments myself because I am a little bit dumbfounded the thinking that goes behind these people, and it is a doorway into how these people think, or more to the point, don't. Anyway, let's begin.
Tim Sheridan has pretty much failed across the board, and he went out there and said some incendiary stuff on Twitter. First up, he said, comics fans, quote, don't add stuff to established characters, just create new characters, unquote. Creator, being himself, creates new character, comic fans come back with, I don't know them, I don't want to, this is trash.
So what old Timbo is implying here is comic fans are moving the goalpost, asking for one thing, then when he provides it, we're rejecting what we initially asked for. However, Timbo, one thing you seem to be forgetting is that comic book fans weren't the ones who were asking for these concepts in the first place. That's on you. It's like going to your favourite restaurant and ordering a steak, and then the waiter brings you a macaroni and cheese, and you're like, well, what's this? And they're like, well, this is the new steak. You're like, well, no, it's not steak, because I've had steak before. This is macaroni and cheese. He's like, yeah, but this is the new version. I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't want the new version. I want what I paid for. And just make a separate dish and call it macaroni and cheese. So he says, okay, fine, I will. Then a couple of weeks later, you go back to the same restaurant and you order a steak, and he has a go at you because he didn't order the macaroni and cheese. You're like, well, I didn't want macaroni and cheese. I wanted steak. I've been eating it for years and will do till the day I die. Then he starts throwing a fit. You told me to create an entirely new dish. Yeah, but I didn't tell you I would eat the damn thing when you made it, did I? And then he takes to Twitter to call me out. The customer, man paying his wages. These people have no concept of customer service because you're not customers to them, uneducated plebs. And he's doing you a favour. It'd be a different matter if there was a huge outcry from those very same people for that type of content, banding together and screaming, hey, Marvel Comics, DC. Where's all the representation out there? Twitter does that. But then Twitter doesn't actually go on to ever purchase, read or watch anything, do they? Or they're too busy tweeting, so they don't count. So you trying to convince that lot that you've got their best interest at heart? Yeah, good luck with that.
DC really went out of their way to give Tim Sheridan and his Teen Titans Academy run a chance, but the writing was just subpar. And I think he's kind of convoluting people rejecting his writing for people rejecting his LGBTQ characters.
Classic narcissism 101. It's everyone's fault but my own. Well, that's the people you hired, DC. This is what happened. Talent takes a backseat to the all-important message. Now, personally, I've never read this guy's work. Heck, I haven't read a comic in nearly 25 years. But saying that, you can be damn sure. Put my copy of ISOM issue 1 with you to follow. What I'm hearing, this Tim Sheridan guy, when it comes to delivering the goods, he's turning out dud after dud after dud. And you just can't understand why it's happening. How bizarre.
I think there's a misconception among comic writers that if you introduce new LGBTQ characters to Marvel and DC at this point, like you're doing something special and people will be drawn to it. I hate to break it to them, I would say at a minimum, 50–55% of all new characters created in the last 3 years are LGBTQ representative characters. So just doing that does not separate your new character from the rest. It kind of just makes them the status quo for the industry right now, and you really have to work hard to get your character over.
Now, this is actually a great point he makes, which can be applied to the entertainment industry on a whole. Representation forced into every TV show, so many race swaps, gender swaps, sexuality swaps, to the point where the audience actually expects it. If the audience expects it every time, well, it's no longer groundbreaking, is it? It's just another ordinary day on Netflix. And yet these creators, and I use the term loosely, continue to herald these changes as if they're incredibly significant moments of our time.
Yeah, nah.
All they're doing is doing what every other producer, director, writer, artist has been doing for the past 3–4 years. Done, dusted, sold, innit? Move on.
It's time to let old things die.
And that's what these things have become. Old. tiresome. And what's with this fixation with sexuality that you guys all have? You are where they are clinics for that kind of problem, you know?
When you go to somebody's Twitter bio and the first thing in their bio is their sexuality, you know, that doesn't make me any more compelled to, you know, be interested in what they have to say. It's whether or not they have something interesting to say or there's something interesting about them.
It's like these guys have sex so hardwired into their brain, they'd have 90s era Michael Douglas blushing like a pubescent schoolboy.
He's saying, well, you say that you don't want me changing the sexuality of existing characters, so I create new LGBT, you know, characters, and then you're not interested in those. So what I'm going to do, since you don't like the new characters, is we're going to go change all your old characters that you already love, and then haha, you have to accept it.
Yeah, nah.
Fact of the matter is, that's not working. It's not working. It's making people walk away from characters.
And this is the thing that I find a little bit disturbing about these people. Actually, downright sinister. There is no, hey man, take it or leave it. Nope. There is only take it. You having an option isn't an option. Wonder why that is. Because there was that one guy who had a similar mentality when it came to people's individual rights. Damn if I can remember his name. Besides, focusing on that so much kind of makes the character come across shallow.
Once a character becomes representative, everything interesting about them is stripped out because now they have, that's all they can be is representative. They can't be characters anymore. And I think there needs to be a balance if you're going to do these things. If you're going to have these characters and expect them to get over, they still have to be a character. They still have to have flaws. They still have to screw up. You know, they still have to have interesting stories, compelling villains. You know, it can't be the main thing about them.
So fantastically put. I mean, let's take the example of the Amazon Lord of the Rings debacle. That actress who plays Giza, or whatever her name is.
Disa.
Going around talking about representation and representation and representation. Would you know she's the first woman of any colour depicted on any screen anywhere to do anything? No, now you do. That's how significant she is. I mean, if you could tell me one thing about her character in the series other than she's black and that she's a woman, I'd actually gift you a season pass. But you couldn't. Why? Because all she talks about is her skin colour. She's not giving you insight into who her character is and what a character has to struggle with or how they're integral to the story. Nope. It's like she's had her soul sucked right out of her body. She's just an empty vacuum.
The fact that you are the first black woman to be a dwarf in Tolkien. What do we learn about woman dwarves that we didn't know through your portrayal?
Well, we learned that they exist. This is the first time that we see a woman and the first time that we see a black woman in this area and this world and these works of Tolkien. You know, this is necessary. This is a revolutionary moment for cinematic and television.
Confused.com. We'll make it easy at confused.com. We'll compare you.
Spouting the same lines over and over again, like she's been programmed or brainwashed by this dude. I don't know, wouldn't surprise me.
He did obviously kind of talk about new characters at first, but he did clarify in a later tweet saying, since some of you are misreading this to be about new characters, let me clarify. It's about evolving existing characters, especially when they come out of the closet. The point is that many fans who say don't make him gay, create a new character, don't really want a new gay character.
Look, maybe we should change this guy's name to Dim Sheridan, because he obviously ain't too bright. You want these characters to exist, which is fine. I have no issue with that, no problem. What I do have an issue with is the blame game you're playing whenever these characters fail. Because truth be told, the only one moving the goalpost here, Timbo, is you. You say these versions of these characters have to be created so that people from those communities get to see themselves on the page, feel validation. But when the numbers of those people are much lower than you anticipated in terms of people who buy your product, you then point to the people who are not part of that community and ask them why they're not supporting you.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Let me explain how it does. Now look, say what you want about the movie, the success of Black Panther was something of a phenomenon. Key to that success was the fact that a lot of black people went out to support the movie, watched it multiple times, in big crowds, they supported it. Now if these projects geared towards the alphabet community are not supported by the alphabet community, maybe what you're providing them is just not good enough. So you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what it is you did wrong and how you're going to fix it. Or just scrap the whole thing and move on. Whatever's better for you. But you can't blame the people who didn't demand the characters in the first place. And that's ludicrous. Muppet.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think.
That's because you didn't do the job writing the new character. I don't want you coming in and destroying things that exist, and I want you to be additive to the world that you're writing in. If you can't cut the mustard and the best idea you can come up with is a non-gender, non-binary quilt person named Stitch, I'm sorry, you need to have better creativity and better ideas to get your characters over. It's not the reader's problem, it's actually the creator's problem.
Ah yes, Stitch. Part of his powers is creating flowers to fall from the sky. And you wonder why these characters don't take like the old guard, like the old school DC characters. Problem with you guys is that you just think you're owed viewership simply by putting these characters out there without any thought going into them whatsoever. The weird thing is you guys never ever call out your target audience for not supporting your project. Always targeting your regular readers, regular fans of the industry. Not once will you say, hey, alphabet community, why are you not supporting these books? Why are you not buying these books? Why are you not reading these books? Never. Those are the people you're clearly writing for. Come to think about it, none of you all do. Charlie's Angels, a feminist freight train, all about female empowerment. But no women turned up to watch it.
More like a feminist train wreck.
Who do you blame? Men.
Women only, please clap if you saw the film.
Nobody knew that the film was coming.
2 people.
Doctor Who, all about empowering women, or killing them off repeatedly when they're children, superior of the species. Gonna bring those female viewers in? Unfortunately, not many women tuned in to watch it. Who do you blame? Patriarchy. Birds of Prey, we're gonna show those pesky men girls can have fun too. But girls didn't show up to watch girls have fun. In fact, more men did. But who did you still blame? Men. Batwoman, as big a turd as you could get outside of a laxative-ridden dinosaur, refusing to die. It's more inhumane keeping this thing alive than it was that bloke in Seven. Its foul stench stunk up the airwaves for years. The show had every alphabet you could even think of. None of them turned up to watch it. Who was to blame? And what makes it worse? Every time you open your mouth to justify your actions and decisions, you sound increasingly... It's embarrassing. You're just a walking meme at this stage. Sad thing is, you don't even know it. You're like Jim Carrey's character in Truman Show. Everyone's watching you, silently giggling. And you actually think the world you live in is real. You know what? Doesn't matter. You're not gonna listen to what I'm saying.
Not listening. I'm not listening.
You're gonna keep banging your head against the wall in frustration. You're gonna keep ignoring the truth because it's not your truth. The great circle of life will continue to go round and round. But look, I'm done now. About to bounce out of here. Hey, tell me what you think about all this. Drop a comment down below, let a brother know, and I'll see you next time.
I think that more creators need to remember that this is a customer service-based business. You are asking people to put down their hard-earned money to buy your product. So therefore, you have to satisfy your customer. It's not about you, it's about the customer.